Welcome back. Today we're out in the woods and we're going to talk about managing some trees. We've got some difficult ones to cut down behind us here, but overall I want to kind of talk about how I choose what to cut down, what to keep, and the long-term vision of the property here. We have a 5-acre homestead in Lower Peninsula, Michigan. It is covered in trees, various kinds of trees, mostly oaks, but there are many other varieties in here as well. And so today I'm going to show you some of the criteria I use on choosing what to cut and what not to, because we heat with wood. We want to keep a steady supply of wood for our fires and keeping our home warm, but we also don't want to just mow the forest down. So what do we look for, and how do I choose what to cut down and what not to? Well, the first criteria is anything that is dangerous. So today I'm going to cut down a few trees that have become dangerous. This one, these white oaks, they tend to split. They have multiple trunks many times, and they tend to split. I don't know if ants are getting into them or whatever. You can see how hollow it is at the bottom here, and it's hollow into the trunk. And so this got weak at the bottom. It wasn't even that windy, just one day it just fell. Trees like this that are leaning or have already kind of started to fall or are weak, dead, or look like they may fall, that are over areas in our home that people generally traffic. This is one of those areas out by the chickens. There are people and my dogs out here all the time. So I don't want this to fall and hurt anyone. And I've got a couple of these leaners that need to be dealt with today. Some of them have been leaning for a couple of years and I haven't dealt with them, but they need to be dealt with. So anything that is dangerous, this is my first priority, and what I'm going to be dealing with mostly today is any tree that could cause a danger to anybody, my kids, myself, or my animals. And unfortunately, this one, there's no easy way to deal with a tree like this. It's gonna fall on the fence. There's no way I can avoid that. Even if I tried to cut it in the middle here, other things, it's probably gonna hurt or damage or crush this fence, and I'll just have to fix it. I'm hoping that it doesn't roll onto this little breeding chicken coop I have. I also don't want this to fall on our baby chicks. And then there's another tree that it knocked down over here that's leaning. So I've got to deal with all this. This is a mess. It's kind of a dangerous mess over here. So here's that tree. The plan is simple. I'm going to cut this tree down, which means I'm going to need to be standing underneath where this one can fall. So it's a very dangerous cut. I'll have to be very careful. My goal is to get this tree to fall. I don't want it to fall in the cornfield as much as possible. I don't hurt the farmer's corn. So I'm going to get this to fall down, and then hopefully this one will fall with it. And then I have to deal with this tree right here, which then I'm probably going to have to cut down this tree also, and that will fall on top of those two, and then this one will come with it. So two kind of dangerous cuts here. And so we'll set the camera up and we'll get started. I've got some decently sharp chains and some fresh gas and oil in the saws ready to go. We'll have to put the dog away because she'll run underneath it, I'm sure. Well, it did what it was supposed to do, but it wasn't pretty. Man, my cut was bad. I was looking up while I was cutting. I was watching that other branch because it would have slid right down on my head. So I was cutting blind, and this was pretty bad, but it still had at least a little bit of hinge, and it was hinged so that it was supposed to fall that way, but because of the pressure of this tree, it pushed it this way, which I expected, but I was really hoping to not have landed this much in the farmer's field. So I'll have to clean this up, and hopefully too much corn wasn't damaged. I'll have to let them know. I like it that it's propped up on all this stuff too, because it'll make it easier to cut into logs. Lost a little bit of fencing, but that'll spring right back, no big deal. So this tree, another oak tree, it's holding up this cherry tree that broke right here. And I'm gonna cut this down. So another one of the criteria I'm using as I decide what to cut and what not to cut, I wanna allow some of these bigger trees, like the oak behind this, to spread out and grow a little bit bigger without growing so tall. It helps the trees to become more healthy. So anytime there's two trees that are this close together, I wanna cut one of them out anyway. This one's a little straighter. I'd rather keep the smaller one, honestly, but the bigger one is more established. It's gonna grow quicker and it'll fill in, the branches will fill in this whole area now that we've cleared these other trees out. So I'll cut this small one down next. And again, I'm gonna be working underneath a tree. So we'll have to notch this, and I'm gonna try to get it to fall right on top of these other ones. And then we'll start cleaning it all up. Worst possible outcome, I didn't notice when I cut my wedge because I was looking up. It's hollow, the whole inside's hollow, so I barely got any hinge. And so the whole tree has actually come off and it's just sitting, balancing on top of that stump right now, with this tree pushing it away from where I want it to fall. I don't think it will fall that way anyway because of all the branches, but I'm gonna have to try to tie it off right here and see if I can get out of the way and pull the tree this way. Look at how hollow it was. As soon as I made this cut, I was like, oh, something's wrong. This doesn't feel right. And I looked at the other side and it was just completely hollow. There was no hinge holding the tree in place. So it was literally just sitting there. It was completely cut down. It was just sitting and balancing on top. I'm glad we cut all these down. Safer. Now we'll have more room for this tree to kind of rebalance and branch out this way a little bit and grow more full. I'll start out in the field on the other end there, work my way this way, get off the farmer's property. We're gonna get all this chopped up really quick. For you guys, it'll be really quick. For me, it'll probably take a couple hours. Well, lots of wood, fence is fixed. It's amazing how this woven wire, you can smash it up pretty good. It'll spring back into place. It's not perfect, but it'll keep the chickens in. Lots and lots of nice oak here to split, stack, season, and get to our to heating our home. And the damage to the cornfield, I'm gonna take some pictures and text over to the neighbor and see how we can square up with this. It's not too bad, but it probably took down 20, 30 good corn stalks. So he's across the way there. He's got an outdoor wood boiler too. So maybe I can make it square with him by bringing him some wood. So down at the end of the driveway, we have another dangerous tree that needs to come down. So this is a priority. This one is dead. Not only is it leaning over the road and could fall block traffic or hurt somebody. It could fall on one of us coming in and out of here. So it's gonna be a hard one to guide. It is leaning over the road, and so I'm gonna have to try to get it to fall alongside the road if possible. I'm not sure how good of a hinge I'm gonna get on this tree because it could be hollow on the inside. It's rotting. And actually I'm gonna try to hit the mailbox. That's my goal. A little bit of it will end up on the road. I'll use the tractor to get it off to the side as quickly as possible and then cut it up. I want a new mailbox. So we're gonna smash that one. Let's see if we can hit it. That'll be the challenge. Well, of course, as soon as I went to cut it, a car came. Literally, if you wouldn't have been there, he would have been driving under it as it fell. Well, I didn't hit the mailbox. I missed by a good 10 feet, but it was just leaning too hard. So, tree was good though. The tree was solid all the way through, so it'll be good firewood. We can't get out of our driveway now. That dangerous tree is gone, and I even cut the stump off and buried it. So I dug around it, cut it low, and buried it so you won't ever see that stump anymore. So number one, the first thing we want to do is look for, as we're looking for firewood and as we're looking to manage the property, is anything dangerous has got to go. Second to dangerous trees is looking at what I want to use this forest for. So what are the trees I want to keep and what are some of the trees I want to get rid of? So I have a couple favorite trees that I want to keep, and for several reasons. Anything that's fruit or nut producing, I want to keep that. I want to keep our black walnut trees. I want to keep our hickory nut trees. Obviously anything fruit producing, any mulberry trees, any other kind of fruit producing trees, apple trees, other things like that, I want to keep those. Even if it's a crab apple or not an apple that I want to eat, those are still good pollinators. Those are still good for bees. Those are still good cross pollinators for your actual good fruit producing apple trees. So I want to keep any of those flowering fruit trees, cherry trees, even if they're not necessarily ones I would eat, I want to keep those. For us here, as we get in, we're looking to do more and more maple syrup production. I want to keep any of our maple trees. I don't care if they're silver maples, I don't care if they're red maples, I don't care if they're sugar maples, I don't care what they are. I want to keep all maple trees. And so I'm going to try to thin these out. I've got another hickory right there. I've got some black walnut mixed in here. There's a black walnut right there. So I'm going to thin some of these out. I'm going to keep some of our hickories. I'm going to keep some of our oaks. I'm going to keep some of the cherries. There's a cherry here. But I want to thin this out. I don't want a monoculture. So I'm going to cut down some of these oak trees. I'm not going to do this today, but this is how I'm determining. So once I have all my dead ones, I'm going to start next at the trees that I want to thin out. Ideally, what I want to do is I want these smaller maples and hickories and other trees like that I want to keep, and I want them to grow faster. I want to get them as much sunlight as possible. So I want to cut down the trees around them that are blocking some of their daylight hours. This is what happens to a lot of our oak trees in this forest. Because they're so closely together in here, they're so close together, they grow up real tall. No branches, no lower branches on these, all the way up. And they get real thin. They actually get taller than they should be. And then they end up getting weak and they end up breaking and falling. So what I want is some cherry trees, some maple trees. I got a maple right here. I want these to grow like this tree right here. I want this to get as much sun as possible. So I'm going to start cutting down some of these oak trees around here. And I want this one to grow nice and thick. Doesn't have to grow super tall. I don't want it to fall. I want it to grow nice and thick. I want low branches. I want this thing to bush out a little bit. I want it to be a nice, healthy, strong tree for many, many years. And as I'm going through this, I am also looking at one last criteria, and that's just aesthetics or health. Some of these trees, especially these white oaks, you'll see they've grown in threes or fours or doubles, and you've got this tree, and this one already fell. Okay, this is the one that blew over. But then this one right here, I mean, you look at how much that tree is leaning. That's gonna fall. And we're gonna use that criteria on all of these, even these smaller trees. Like we don't need 4 of these trees growing together, so we'll cut out the straightest one, we'll cut the rest of them out, even when they're smaller. Same thing here. And then there's some harder decisions. I've made it almost a rule to never kill a maple tree here. I want every maple tree possible, but sometimes you have to make a sacrifice. So I've got a nice, decent size maple tree here. I've got a little one growing next to it. This one here has 2 trunks, and then this trunk splits into 2 more, and then this one splits into several more. And so by the time we get up to the top here, we've got, 5 or 6 trees growing out of one root system. So this is the hard decision. Now I can tap all of these. I can come down here in the fall. I can't tap this one. This one's too small, so this one can go. But I could tap this one, this one, this one, this one, especially since they all share a root system. I could actually tap all of these. But in the long run, this isn't going to be what's best for this tree. Since we heat with wood, this is always a constant process for us. So I'm not going out here and I'm doing this all in one day. I cut down the most dangerous stuff today, and throughout this video you saw me cut down some of the dangerous things here. Those are always priority. But over the year and over the years to come, I apply that kind of method to what trees I select. And as I get rid of more of the deadfalls and more of the broken ones, and things get spread out more, and I'm making a better forest, we're actually helping these trees to grow better, produce more for us, and this homestead becomes tailored to exactly what we want it to be. Look at all these trees in here. So much wood. It's an endless supply. As I cut these trees down and thin these things out, more grow. These ones grow bigger. So much work to be done, but so much wood provided by God's creation, and it is an infinite or renewable source. You just keep kind of pulling out and the trees grow. By the time I get this all managed the way I want to, some of these trees we're looking at today are going to be 10 times the size, and they'll just continue to provide more and more for us. I always love to hear who's following along, where you're following from, and what kind of homestead property you have and what you manage. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.